It all starts in 1607, when a group of English settlers land in what is now Virginia. They build Jamestown, the first successful English colony in North America. Life is hard at first, but they survive. A few years later, in 1620, another group called the Pilgrims arrives on a ship called the Mayflower. They land up north, in what's now Massachusetts, looking for freedom to practice their religion. Over time, more people come. Towns grow. Soon there are 13 British colonies stretched along the east coast. Asterisk at first. The colonists follow British laws and pay British taxes, but as the years pass, they start feeling more like Americans than British citizens. They work hard, build farms, trade goods, and they want more control over their own lives. But the British government keeps tightening its grip. They pass tax laws like the Stamp Act and Tea Act, and the colonists have no say in any of it. This makes people angry. Asterisk in 1773, a group of colonists dumps an entire shipment of tea into Boston Harbor. It's called the Boston Tea Party, not a party at all, but a bold protest. 2 years later, in 1775, the first shots are fired. War with Britain has begun. The fighting between the colonies and Britain starts in 1775. It's messy and uneven. The British army is large and well-trained. The colonists are outnumbered, but they're fighting for something they believe in: freedom. A man named George Washington is chosen to lead the Continental Army. He's not perfect, but he's smart and determined. In 1776, the colonies make their boldest move yet. They write the Declaration of Independence. It says that all men are created equal and that the colonies are now a new country, the United States of America. Asterisk, the war drags on. People suffer, cities burn, and battles go back and forth. Then France joins in, helping the Americans with soldiers, ships, and supplies. That turns the tide. In 1781, the British finally surrender at Yorktown. The war is over, and America has won. Asterisk, but winning a war is easier than building a country. The early system of government is weak and confusing. So in 1787, leaders meet to create something stronger. The result is the U.S. Constitution, the set of rules for how the country should work. 2 years later, in 1789, George Washington becomes the first president. After independence, America starts growing fast. In 1803, the U.S. buys a huge piece of land from France called the Louisiana Territory. It doubles the size of the country overnight. People begin moving west. This idea that Americans are meant to take over the land from coast to coast becomes known as manifest destiny. But this growth comes at a cost. Native American tribes are forced off their lands. Many are moved far from their homes, like during the long and deadly journey called the Trail of Tears. Asterisk, at the same time, the country becomes more divided over one issue: slavery. The North is moving toward industry and freedom. The South still depends on farming and enslaved labor. Arguments grow louder. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln is elected president. Many Southern states don't like that. They break away from the Union and form their own group, the Confederacy. War breaks out in 1861. Asterisk, the Civil War is brutal. Brothers fight brothers. Over 600,000 people die. In 1863, Lincoln gives the Emancipation Proclamation. It doesn't end slavery right away, but it changes the meaning of the war. The Union finally wins in 1865. Just days later, Lincoln is shot and killed. That same year, slavery is officially banned by the 13th Amendment. After the Civil War, the South struggles to rebuild, while the North keeps moving forward. The country starts changing quickly. Trains connect cities. Factories rise. Oil, coal, and steel become the engines of the economy. Big names like Rockefeller and Carnegie make huge fortunes. This time is often called the Gilded Age, shiny on the outside, but with many problems underneath. Asterisk, millions of immigrants arrive from Europe, looking for a better life. They land in places like New York and settle in crowded neighborhoods. They work long hours in harsh conditions, often for very little pay. Kids work too. Labor unions start forming, demanding fair treatment and safer workplaces. Asterisk, while cities grow fast, Native Americans continue to lose land and rights. Battles between tribes and the U.S. government end with most Native people being pushed onto small reservations. Out west, people rush for gold, build railroads, and open new towns. Asterisk, by the early 1900s, the U.S. starts looking beyond its borders. In 1898, it goes to war with Spain and ends up taking control of places like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. America is no longer just a young country, it's starting to act like a global power. In 1914, World War I begins in Europe. At first, America stays out of it. But in 1917, after American ships are attacked and a secret German plan is discovered, the U.S. joins the fight. With fresh soldiers and supplies, the Allies win. The war ends in 1918. Back home, the 1920s bring change. People drive cars, listen to jazz, and buy things on credit. It feels like a new age. Asterisk, but in 1929, the good times crash. The stock market falls, banks shut down, and millions lose jobs. It's called the Great Depression. Families lose homes. People line up for food. President Franklin D. Roosevelt comes in with something called the New Deal, a bunch of programs to help people and get the economy moving again. Asterisk then. In 1939, another war starts, this time worse than the first. World War II spreads across Europe and Asia. The US stays out at first, but when Japan bombs Pearl Harbor in 1941, America joins. The country goes. Ullin factories make tanks. Women work jobs once done by men, and soldiers fight across the world. In 1945, the war ends after the US drops two atomic bombs on Japan. America is now not just a big country, it's a world leader. After World War II, the US and the Soviet Union don't trust each other. Both have nuclear weapons. Both want to shape the world their way. But instead of fighting directly, they compete in what's called the Cold War, a long, tense standoff. They race to build bombs, send satellites into space, and gain power without firing a shot. Asterisk. But while America is facing enemies abroad, it's also facing serious problems at home. For decades, black Americans have lived under unfair laws and daily racism. In the 1950s and 60s, they start pushing back peacefully, loudly, and bravely. Rosa Parks refuses to give up her bus seat. Martin Luther King Jr. leads marches and gives speeches that shake the nation. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act is passed, making segregation illegal. Asterisk. At the same time, new ideas are spreading. Young people question war, gender roles, and tradition. Protests fill the streets. In Vietnam, US troops fight a war that many Americans believe should never have started. It lasts for years and ends with US forces pulling out in 1975. The country is strong, but shaken, trying to figure out what kind of nation it wants to be. Point 7. Rise of modern America 1980 to 2001 asterisk. In the 1980s, America starts changing again, this time fast and loud. Ronald Reagan becomes president. He cuts taxes, boosts the military, and takes a tough stand against the Soviet Union. People call it the Reagan era. The Cold War is still going, but it starts to crack. In 1989, something huge happens. The Berlin Wall, the symbol of division, comes down. 2 years later, the Soviet Union collapses. The Cold War is over. America is now the only superpower. Asterisk. At home, technology begins to take off. Computers get smaller. Cell phones appear. Companies like Apple and Microsoft start shaping the future. A war breaks out in the Middle East in 1991 when Iraq invades Kuwait. The US leads a group of countries to stop it. It's called the Gulf War. Short, but powerful. Asterisk. In the 1990s, the economy grows. Bill Clinton becomes president. There's money in the stock market. Jobs are up, but not everything is smooth. Clinton is later impeached, though he stays in office. Meanwhile, the internet arrives. At first, it's slow and simple, dial up and email, but people can already feel it. This new thing is going to change everything, and it does. By 2000, America feels like it's racing into the future, fast, confident, and fully online. In 2001, everything changes. Terrorists hijack planes and crash them into buildings in New York and Washington, D.C. Nearly 3,000 people die. The whole country is in shock. This leads to the War on Terror. The US invades Afghanistan and later Iraq. The wars go on for years. Soldiers are sent overseas. Back home, airports get tighter security. People argue about safety, privacy, and what freedom really means. Asterisk. In 2008, history is made again. Barack Obama becomes the first black president of the United States. But at the same time, the economy crashes. Banks fail. People lose homes, and the government has to step in to help. Over the next decade, social media grows fast, changing how people talk, share, and think. Movements like Black Lives Matter and Me Too rise up demanding justice and equality. Asterisk. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic hits. Schools close, hospitals overflow. The whole world slows down. People wear masks, work from home, and try to stay safe. Politics becomes even more divided. Climate change becomes harder to ignore, and technology keeps moving faster with artificial intelligence, electric cars, and space rockets led by private companies. Asterisk. America is still powerful, still full of people with big dreams, but also full of big questions about fairness, leadership, and what comes next.